You're in a conversation and it's going well, but then it stops. Just silence. Your mind goes blank. That feeling has nothing to do with your English level. You just don't have the moves yet to keep the conversation going. Today, I'm gonna give you 3. This lesson is for B1 learners who can hold a conversation, but freeze when something unexpected happens or the flow breaks, especially with native speakers or in work situations. Here's what usually happens. Someone says something. You nod, now it's your turn. Your brain goes empty, you say yes or okay, and the conversation ends. The real issue here is not your vocabulary or your level. It's that you don't have the habit yet to keep the conversation going. What I mean is that native speakers and fluent speakers use a small set of tools, a set of moves automatically that keeps the conversation going. And you can do it too. Here are 3 of them. Tool number 1, the follow-up question. After someone answers your question, ask one more question about what they said. Don't change the subject. Stay on what they just told you. It is important that you listen. If they say, I went to Bali last month, and you say, nice, that ends the conversation. Instead, ask something about what they told you. For example, how long were you there? Or was it your first time in Bali? That follow-up question does 2 things. Number 1, it shows that you are listening. And people appreciate it when someone listens to them. And number 2, it buys you time. It buys you time to think about your next move. The easiest words to remember for a follow-up question are, of course, question words. How, what, who, was it, and did you? Any more follow-up questions? Do you know any more follow-up questions? Share them in the comments. Here are a few questions you can use. Listen and repeat. Let's practice a few of these questions, based on what we just talked about. If someone said, I went to Bali last month, you can say, how long were you there? Was it your first time in Bali? What made you decide to go? And maybe something like, wow, how did that happen? Great practice. Let's move on to tool number 2. If you don't know what question to ask, this is the echo. This one is even simpler than the follow-up question. Simply take the most interesting word from what they said and add a rising tone. For example, if they say, I just got a promotion, you can say, a promotion? That's it. That will often make the other person explain more about it. You didn't ask a question, you just gave a signal for them to keep going. And while they talk, you have time to think. Let's practice that rising tone. Listen and repeat out loud. A promotion? Last night? By yourself? For a year? Exactly. Do you now see how even just one word can help you continue the conversation? And there is still one more tool. Tool number 3, the topic bridge. At some point, every topic runs out. At that moment, you want to use a bridge to move to something new. The nice thing is, you don't need a reason. These phrases give you a natural entry. Let's practice them first, then talk about it. Listen and repeat out loud. That reminds me. Speaking of which, on a different note, actually, I wanted to ask you. Note that these bridges are not finished. You need to finish the sentence with the new topic you want to talk about. For example, if we go back to talking about Bali, we could say, "That reminds me, have you ever flown anywhere else?" Or, "Actually, I wanted to ask you, what do you do in your free time?" Do you see? These are natural ways to change the topic. Those are the 3 tools you can use to keep the conversation going. In some situations, all these tools are usable. In other situations, you can only use one. And sometimes you can even combine them. So let's see what you learned. I have a few sentences for you. Try to respond. After a few seconds, I will give you a correct response to what I said. Here we go. Number 1. If someone would say, "I work in finance," how could you respond? Well, you could ask a follow-up question. Something like, "What kind of finance?" Or, "How long have you been doing that?" These follow-up questions are specific to finance and show interest. Let's continue. "I moved here 2 years ago." How would you respond? Yeah, you could echo and say something like, "2 years ago?" Or ask a follow-up question. "What have you been doing here for 2 years?" It's your choice. Alright, next. What if there's a silence after talking about the weather? What could you say? This is the perfect moment for a bridge. You could say something like, "On a different note, how long have you been here?" That feels natural, moving towards something new. Next. "I just started learning guitar." Exactly. You could ask a follow-up question, like, "What kind of music?" Or, "What made you want to start?" This shows real interest. Last one. What if you answered one of their questions and now it's quiet? What could you say? Yeah, you can be creative. You could even echo their question back. What about you? Same experience? As you see, keeping a conversation going is a skill you can learn with these 3 tools. Now, there are more tools out there that you can look for, but start with the basics. Today, try to use a follow-up question in any conversation and in any language. Then notice how the other person responds. That's the habit you're building. If this helped, subscribe. New live lessons every Monday and Friday, with the video on YouTube every Tuesday and Saturday. See you in the next one.